Here are the video solutions for AQA Functional Skills Level 2 Maths. This is paper 2, which is a calculator paper, and this is January 2022. So let's take a look at question 1. We've got 6 numbers and we need to work out the median. So the median, remember, is the middle value when they are in ascending or descending order. Luckily they are in order, so to find the middle one, what I'm going to do is chop one off the left and the right, do the same again, and I was hoping to expose one number in the middle, but unfortunately I've got 2, and the reason why is because there is an even number of values. So when we've got a 2 in the middle, the median is halfway between the 2 in the middle, so halfway between 3 and 4, halfway between 3 and 4 is therefore 3.5, so the median is 3.5. So here is a scale, so we know that 2 centimetres equals 5 metres. So what does 7.2 centimetres represent? Okay, so if it was 4 centimetres, then that would be easy because 4 is double 2, so that would be double 5, so 10. The problem is, well, how many times greater than 2 is 7.2? Well, what we need to do is divide 7.2 by 2. 7.2 divided by 2 is 3.6. So 2 multiplied by 3.6 is 7.2. So 7.2 is 3.6 times bigger than 2. So that will correspond to 3.6 times 5. And 3.6 multiplied by 5 comes to 18. So that is 18 metres. Question number 3, work out the value of a squared minus 4b when a is 3.6 and b is 1.7. So all we need to do is substitute these values in. So 3.6 squared minus 4b, so minus 4 times 1.7. We can just type it into our calculator exactly like this, or you can work out 3.6 squared and then separately work out 4 times 1.7 and then take away the right hand side from the left hand side, or as I said, just type it in as it is and you'll be fine. And you should get an answer of 6.16. Question number 4, write the fractions in order starting with the smallest. Well, since we've got access to a calculator here, what I would do is just turn everything into a percentage. So to convert a fraction into a percentage, it's top divided by bottom multiplied by 100, so that is 65%. Let's do the same for 27/40. 27 divided by 40 multiplied by 100, that is 67.5%. And 3/5, 3 divided by 5 multiplied by 100, that is 60%. Possible you just knew that. So the smallest is 60%, so that's the smallest, the second smallest, and the third smallest. So the first smallest was the 3/5, the second smallest was the 13/20, and the biggest was 27/40. Okay, without calculating the exact value, use approximations to estimate the answer to these numbers here. So instead of multiplying by 6.1, I would multiply by 6. And this number here, well, what we want to do is to round it to one significant figure. So to do that, we need to look at the value of the second figure, which is a 7. This is greater than 5, so the column to the left will move up by 1, and the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns will just become zeros. So it's 400,000 times 6, and that is 2,400,000. In other words, 2,400,000. Question number 6, so we're converting fractions, decimals and percentages here. So remember, to go from a decimal to a percentage, we're multiplying by 100. So 0.04 multiplied by 100, well, that is 4%. This row here, 23%. Percent means out of 100. So 23% means 23 out of 100, which is a fraction. Can this fraction be simplified? It cannot, because 23 is prime. So that is simply 23/100ths. So to go from decimal to percentage, we multiply by 100. So to go from percentage to decimal, we divide by 100. And 0.7 divided by 100 is 0.007. Okay, let's move on to section B. So question 7, Daisy's making 24 jars of jam. How much is it going to cost? Now, some of these calculations are relatively straightforward and others are harder. For example, the blueberries is a bit harder because the cost is per 150 grams. So how many 150 grams are there in 4.5 kilos? Well, a bit of an issue here because we've got grams and kilos. So let's turn the 4.5 kilos into grams. Now a kilo is 1,000 grams, so we need to multiply 4.5 by 1,000. So that is 4,500 grams. So how many 150s are there in 4,500? Well, the calculation is 4,500 divided by 150, and that is 30. So that means it's 30 lots of £1.79, and 30 times 179 is £53.70. So I'll just write that up here, £53.70. Sugar is we need 5 kilos, and it's £2.8 per kilo, so that's simply £2.8 multiplied by 5, and that comes to £10.40. Lemons are 17p each, so it's just 4 times 17p, so that's 68p, and I write that as 0.68, so I've got everything in pounds. And finally, glass jars are sold by the half dozen. So how many 6s are there in 24? Well, 24 divided by 6 is 4, so that's going to be 4 lots of £3.90, and 4 times by £3.90 is 15. Oops, scroll down a bit, is £15.60. So what we need to do now is just add up these 4 figures, and when we add those together we'll get a total of £80.38. Okay, so for B we want to work out the mass of jam in the jar. Well, first of all we need to work out the volume of jam in the jar. Now it's a cylinder, so let's just do a quick sketch of a cylinder. There we go. So the volume of any three-dimensional shape or any three-dimensional prism is the area of its face multiplied by its height. Now we know the height, and its face is a circle. Now the area of a circle is pi r squared. So it's going to be pi r squared multiplied by 7.5. So we can use either the pi button or 3.142. And the radius is 3.4, so times 3.4 times 3.4 times 7.5. So therefore the volume is 272.4114 cubic centimetres. Now we know that 1 cubic centimetre is 1.29 grams, so 272.4114 cubic centimetres is going to weigh 272.4114 lots of 1.29 grams, and that comes to a total of 351.410706 grams. So we just need to round this to a sensible degree of accuracy. Here we've got 2 decimal places, so I'll go with 2 decimal places here. Third decimal place is a 0, so that will simply round down to 351.41 grams. For part C, so she's reduced the price of the jam. So what I'm going to do first of all is work out how much she made originally when she sold them at full price. That's 42 lots of £4.50. So from the full price sales she made £189. So the difference between this and the 189 was from the ones that were on sale, and 245.70 minus the 189 comes to £56.70. So she made £56.70 from the sales of the jars that were reduced. Now how many jars was that? Well, that was 60 minus 42, which is 18 jars. So therefore the price, well, we know that 18 jars cost £56.70, so therefore 1 jar would have been £56.70 divided by 18, and £56.70 divided by 18 is £3.15. So the price has gone from, what was it originally, £4.50 down to £3.15. So what percentage is this reduction? Well, so we're just working out the percentage change from £4.50 to £3.15. Now the formula for any percentage change, whether it is an increase or a decrease, is the difference divided by the original times by 100. Now the difference is £4.50, take away £3.15, which is £1.35. So as I said, the formula is the difference, £1.35, divided by the original, £4.50, multiplied by 100, and that comes to exactly 30%. Okay, so in this question we know that the government is paying 40% and Jamal is paying £525. So if the government pays 40%, then Jamal will be paying 100%, take away 40%, which is 60%. And we know that Jamal pays £525, so 60% is £525. And we want to work out the full cost, and the full cost is the full 100%. So what I'm going to do here is, if I know that 60% is 525, I can work out what 10% is, and if I can work out what 10% is, I can work out what 100% is. Now 10% is 6 times less than 60%. So what is 6 times less than 525? Well, that's 525 divided by 6, which is £87.50. Now if I know 10%, I know that 100% is 10 times greater. So if 10% is £87.50, then I need to multiply that by 10 to work out 100%. So 100% is simply £875. Okay, so for part B, so what we need to do is use the scatter diagram with the extra data. So this is the extra data here, so we need to plot that first. So let's just take a look at the scales. We know that we are going along the bottom in 2s, but we're going up the side in 1s. So miles along the bottom, kilowatt hours up the side. So 60, 21 is here, and 84, 2 across from 80, and 32, so 2 up from 30 is there. Okay, so we've plotted the extra data. Now we're using the diagram with the extra data to estimate the cost to drive 80 miles. Well, to work out the cost, first of all, we need to work out the number of kilowatt hours. So what we've got here is 80. So here is 80. How many kilowatt hours is that? Well, what we need to do is draw in a line of best fit. Now, a line of best fit is a straight line that cuts through the middle of the data. If I ask 10 students to do this, they might all draw 10 different lines, but they might all be perfectly fine. So there's no one size fits all here. So let's stick in a line. So this would be a terrible line of best fit. It's too steep. This one's not steep enough. So right through the middle, like something like that, that'll be fine. And what we're trying to do here is we are now looking for the kilowatt hours for 80. So here is 80 miles. We're going to go up until we hit the line, which to me looks like 1 below 30. So for me, that is 29 kilowatt hour. Now we need to turn that into cost. So we know that 1 kilowatt is 15p, so 29 kilowatts is going to be 29 multiplied by 15, and that comes to 435, which is pence. So divide that by 100, we get £4.35. Now it's possible you've got a slightly different answer. You might not have got 29. Now since it's possible for students to do slightly different lines of best fit, and they, as I said before, they might still be fine, then you might not get 29, maybe you get 30, maybe you get 28, in which case it's going to be 30 or 28 times by 15. So with questions like this, then a bit of flexibility is allowed in the answer. So in this question, we know the mean number of people who use the machine on Monday to Friday, and also Monday to Sunday. Now, first of all, Monday to Friday, well, we know that that is 5 days, and obviously we know that Monday to Sunday, well, that is 7 days. So what we need to do here is, when you've been given a mean, is to work out the total. Usually it's the other way around. We've been given a total and we need to work out the mean. So here we've got the mean, so we need to work out the total. And the way to do that is you multiply the number of values by the mean. So, I suppose if you think about it logically, if the average number of people is 21 per day, then over 5 days, then that's going to be a total of 5 multiplied by 21. So when you've been given the mean, multiply it by the number of values and you get your total. And 5 times 21 is 105. So that's 105 people. So we're going to do the same from Monday to Sunday. So that is 7 times by 26. And 7 times by 26 is 182 people. So if 182 people used it in total Monday to Sunday and 105 Monday to Friday, then the difference is Saturday, Sunday. So 182 minus 105 equals 77 people. So that is Saturday and Sunday combined. Now we know that 32 people used the machine on Saturday, so therefore Sunday is going to be 77 take away 32, and 77 take away 32 is 45. So 45 people used the machine on the Sunday. Moving on to part B, we want to work out the probability that the member attended exactly one of the classes. Well, first of all, how many people are there in total? Well, that is going to be 36 plus 14 plus 17, and that comes to a total of 67. So of the 67, how many attended exactly one? Well, that's everyone apart from the 14 that attended both. So that is 36 plus the 17, and that is 53. So therefore 53 out of the 67 attended exactly one of the classes. So there's our answer, 53 over 67. And on to the final part of question 9. So how much further did Lottie run than Emma? So how far did Lottie run? Okay, so we know that speed is distance divided by time. So therefore speed multiplied by the time is the distance. Okay, we want the distance in miles. The speed is in miles per hour, so we need the time in hours. Now this is the difficult bit. So the speed, no problem at all, that is 7.24, and we just need to work out the time. Now the problem is that we've got it in minutes, so we need to turn this into hours, and it looks like a random number of minutes, but it's actually quite a helpful figure, 36. 1 hour is 60 minutes, so 36 minutes is 36 sixtieths of an hour. And both of these numbers are in the 6 times table. There's a reason why it's a 36 and not like 40 might have, well actually 40 would have been okay actually, but yeah, quite often you get numbers which are in the 6 times table. So 36 out of 60, that is the same as 6 over 10, so 6/10 of an hour, which is 0.6. So there's our calculation, 7.24 miles per hour times 0.6 miles, and that comes to a total of 4.344 miles. So Lottie, we can see, has run further than Emma. How much further? Well, 4.344 minus the 4.125, and that is 0.219 miles. Okay, on to the final question of this paper. Okay, so Ros has £350 to spend on a new sewing machine, and she's buying this one, which is 17% off. So at 17% off, then she will pay 100% minus 17%, and that is therefore 83%. So the question is, well, what is 83% of £395? Well, the calculation is 0.83 multiplied by 395. 0.83, that is our multiplier for 83%. It's 83 divided by 100, that's where that comes from. And that comes to a total of £327.85. So the question is, how much of the 350 does she have left? Well, that's simply going to be £350, take away the £327.85, and that comes to a total of £22.15. Okay, let's take a look at part B. Okay, this one's a little bit of a fiddle. So step 1, first of all, what do we need to do? We need to work out the length of the zip in centimetres. So these are the steps we need to follow. So we're using the diameter, which is 16, to work out the circumference. Now the circumference is 2 pi r. So if the diameter is 16, then the radius is 8. So 2 pi r, that's going to be 2 multiplied by 3.142 multiplied by the radius, which is 8. Alternatively, 2 times the radius is the diameter, so you could just simply do 16 times 3.142. As you can see, 2 times 8 gives us a 16, whatever you're more comfortable with. And 2 times 3.142 multiplied by 8, that comes to 50.272. Step 2, divide the answer from step 1 by 2, so 50.272 divided by 2, that is 25.136, and now we need to subtract 1/4 of the diameter from that answer. So the diameter is 16, 16 divided by 4 is 4, so 25.136 take away 4 is 21.136. Now this is inches, and we need to convert that into centimetres. We know that 1 inch is 2.5 centimetres, so 21.136 inches is going to be 21.136 multiplied by 2.5, and that comes to 52.84. Oops, let me just scroll down a little bit. 52.84 centimetres. There we go. Okay, and on to part C. So we know the ratio of the weight of wool is, let me just write that down, small to large is 2 to 3, and 560 grams is used for 1 small teddy bear. So what we need to do is work out, well, how many times greater than 2 is 560? So the calculation there is, well, what is 560 divided by 2? 560 divided by 2 is 280. So we're boosting this ratio by 280. So therefore, I need to multiply the 3 by 280, and I get 840. So there's 840 grams of wool for the large teddy bear. Let me just write that down. 840 grams for large teddy bear or large bear. Okay, so how many large teddy bears can you fill from a 10 kilo bag of wool? So we've got grams and kilos. The easiest thing to do is to turn the kilos into grams. 10 kilos multiplied by 1,000, well, that is 10,000. Remember, there's 1,000 grams in a kilo. So what we want to know is how many 840s go into 10,000. So 10,000 divided by 840, and what does that come to? That comes to a total, not a whole number, it's 11.904. Now, I suspect they've chosen a number that is closer to 12 than 11 to try and tempt you into rounding that up to 12. But when you think about it, we don't have enough, we've got enough wool for exactly 11.904 bears. We do not have enough for 12. So therefore, presumably we can't make 0.904 of a bear, so therefore we're going to have to round it down. Well, we're not rounding it down, we know that we've only got enough wool for 11 bears. So be careful sometimes with the rounding, even though it looks like it is closer to 12 than 11, but 12 bears means, well, we don't have enough for 12, we do have enough for 11. It does mean we've got quite a lot of extra wool, but that's just going to go to waste, unfortunately. Anyway, the answer here is 11.